What's up, bikers? I'm Robert, and this is the BikeR Bar Podcast live stream. Nailed the intro. I actually had to go back and watch one of my other episodes where I said what I was going to do for the intro so I could remember what it was. That's pretty pathetic, but that's the way it is in this weird ass head of mine. Anyways, episode 103. Today we're going to have Jay Wood from the Bike Somm channel on. But before we get started, let's go ahead and here for your advertising entertainment is Robert from the Biker channel. Hey, if you guys don't know, I have a POV channel or a regular YouTube review-ish channel, whatever you want to call it, a vloggy kind of channel instead of this podcast. A lot of people have found this podcast but aren't aware of my other channel. So if you get a chance, swing by B1KER, just check it out on YouTube, Biker, and give me a follow over there. So the other thing that I'd like to say is if you have Instagram or Facebook and you're interested in getting some extra content for free, swing by there. Give me a follow there as well at BikerB1. It's I built a TikTok the other day. I'm like, I think I'm gonna maybe start trying to put some kind of content up there. So we'll see. You can check out BikerB1 on TikTok. 0 posts. But in the meantime, definitely swing by my Facebook, my Instagram. You can follow them both if you want to see the same thing twice, but that's totally up to you. Those of you that really want to help me out, I would really appreciate you swinging by my Patreon, maybe throwing $1 at me or $5 at me, put some money in the beer fridge, however you want to do it. If you want to go to the Biker website, pick up a shirt, that helps too. Or you can just subscribe to this channel or write a review on the podcast. That would be rad. I just went by the Apple podcast the other day and read some of the recent reviews. Those of you guys that wrote them, appreciate that. Thank you very much. Those of you guys that didn't, I'm still waiting. Just come on. We need more reviews. Get more reviews, and then I get more downloads, and then I can stop bugging you guys about Patreon because I'm just going to be rolling in the money like Joe Rogan style. So I only need like 100,000 more subscribers at least, probably on both my channels. So anyways, enough of all of that. Let's go ahead and bring Jay on, get him up here. What's up, Jay? How's it going?
What's up, everybody?
So dude, we just went to Sedona. That was your first time.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
That was unreal.
So how many days were you there? I can't remember.
So we went up and we were there Thursday at South Mountain. And then
so you watched me roll down the hill. That was good.
Yeah, so that was our pregame, that was our warm-up. And then we went into the festival Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
What'd you think? So that was your first time in South Mountain then too, huh?
Yeah, that was my first time ever riding a bike in Arizona, basically.
The first time I ever rode in the desert was in South Mountain as well. And it really blew me away, like how pretty it is out there. Like in my mind, I would have never thought like I would say the desert is pretty.
No, I mean, you have like amazing views of the whole city of Phoenix, and you get, just a little bit of elevation, and you're overlooking 360 views of just the whole area. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And they definitely like technical climbing there.
Yeah, it's like Rockville times Godzilla.
Yeah, times Godzilla, right? Yeah, it's definitely interesting because like when I first went down there, I remember thinking like I'm a big 27.5 guy, and I remember everybody down there was riding 29ers and pivots, and I remember thinking, yeah, this is why, because like to have that extra rollover there, like really, really helps.
Yeah, it makes all that big stuff seem just a little bit more manageable, a little easier
for sure
to kind of navigate, because you're not having to stop into every single feature. You can get over them a little bit better, but it's still debatable, I'm sure. So
yeah, I felt like whenever the first time I was in South Mountain, I don't know why, like every corner I came around, I was just expecting to see some like Indian chief with like a full headdress up on top of some rock, like.
It's spiritual out there. People take it serious, and they have beautiful art to show for it. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping I'd get into one of those vortexes too, and just kind of feel the essence of the place too.
Yeah, I was definitely in some kind of vortex when I was coming down the waterfall. I think I forgot how to ride bike and just decided to. I was in the gravity vortex of just bouncing my soul off the ground.
Dude, I mean, I'll tell you, I was so scared for you when I saw that, and just to see you do that and then come out okay was just the best part of the deal,
Yeah,
because that could have ended a lot worse.
yeah, definitely could have. Definitely could have. I know that they like. I remember when I first went up there, that they had told me, oh man, guys break their ankles and their wrists and stuff up here all the time.
Yeah,
I
and it's way bigger in person too. Like you charge up just to the beginning of it when you start to climb, and you see how much like larger the steps are in person. They really put it to
yeah.
scale. Like it's really hard to tell online. I mean, so
It's funny, man. Even being a creator and knowing like GoPro effect firsthand, when you're still surprised when you go out and you see stuff in person.
yeah, it blew me away. It was pretty phenomenal. Those guys that can climb that are beyond me. It's amazing.
Yeah. Jeff Lanoski climbed up that line that's off to the left if you're standing on the bottom.
Just any line up that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Kudos.
just crazy.
Yeah.
I've seen him climb a few things that just kind of blew my mind. And I've watched some stuff online and you're like, oh, it doesn't look that bad. And I'm like, just thinking to myself, no,
Yeah, the
it's got to be like
horsepower that it
horrible in
takes.
person,
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, I think it's kind of my fault that we cut that ride in South Mountain short. So hopefully, are you planning on going back to Sedona in March?
That's a good question. I have to see, exactly what's going to happen in the next couple months if I have
Yeah.
time for it. I'd love to go. If it's just something I can't resist and there's going to be a good showing, I'm going to try to make it back.
Yeah. After the first time I went to the Sedona Mountain Bike Festival, I was like, I'm doing this every year. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just so fun, and it's hard to really like capture in words why it's so fun.
Yeah. I mean, you can paint pictures, you can show people video, but I mean, it's just like when you go there for the first time, for me at least, it was like you're walking through a cathedral. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's just so massive around you. You don't really see like the scale until you see, oh, this is a tiny little village, like a tiny town kind of feel, and then just rocks like everywhere. So
Yeah.
it's just hard to explain, really. You have to see it.
Yeah. I always tell everybody, just any direction you turn your head, it looks like a postcard.
Yeah, seriously, 360 views for
Yeah. Like it doesn't matter where you're at. You're like in the McDonald's parking lot, like, oh, postcard, like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it shocks me.
yeah, it's definitely something else. And it's so different there from just the whatever 2-hour drive from Phoenix. Like completely
Yeah, I mean,
different
I'd
looking
say like
landscape.
even just like 30 minutes as you're leaving the place, like it's like the whole place just morphs back into a desert.
Yeah. And it's weird if you go out the other way, like if you were driving home and you went up through Flagstaff,
Oh yeah.
you go like 30 minutes up the hill
Yeah.
and it's like you're in Tahoe all of a sudden.
No way. That's so
Yeah, it's like really weird.
man. Yeah, I got to get back and explore so much more. It's a trip.
Yeah. It's definitely definitely a lot of fun. I think the reason, like, let's brainstorm on why the fest is fun. I think first of all, it's small enough that you like don't get overwhelmed. I think that's part of it.
Right. The festival is small enough, and then the
Yeah.
actual place is just mind blowing. So yeah, it's like
Yeah,
you
like
have your little home base and people, and it's not massive like how Sea Otter's just like you're lost in a crowd.
yeah.
It's where everything is. It's super easy to find people, and then once you go out into the trails, just you're in the desert. You're on another part of the planet, really. So
Yeah. Because
whereas I
like
feel
what you
like
said,
Sea Otter too. Yeah, sorry.
yeah, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
sea otters so big. I just feel like, like a little fish in a big sea, and you're like, you're calling your buddy who's standing like 50 yards away from you and you
Yeah,
can't find each other. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Where
yeah.
like
It's not near
Sedona,
as like it's not near as loud. It seems like you can talk to people, have conversations better, and it's not
yeah,
just like a huge rock concert going on. So.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
then, yeah, then it has the element of like you have events and like things people can show up to these, long jumps or to the film festival, which is really cool and very intimate.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't done that film festival thing yet. I've heard a couple of people going. You went to that this year too, huh?
Yeah, I went there. It was just cool to see like all the different creative sides and stories that people had to share on the beta MTB page. Yeah.
They had one on Downeyville too, didn't they? Somebody
They
told
did.
me.
They had a really cool. I forget the filmmakers, but they had a good little Downeyville video. You have to check it out.
Right on.
I'm not
I
sure
was
where you
wondering.
look it up, but
Yeah, right. Maybe on beta, right? Isn't that isn't that like a website? It's like a new
it is.
magazine, like
Yeah.
online magazine thing or something like that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Are they affiliated with Pink Bike? Is that what the deal is?
I know they're probably friends. I don't know if they're affiliated or not. But
Because they seem like they were in the same tent as the Trail Forks guys, and Trail Forks is like affiliated with Pink Bike too, I
yeah, they
think.
seem very close. I couldn't be sure.
We'll just tell everybody, hey man, they're totally affiliated, dude. So
Yeah.
happened on the internet. Some dude on YouTube said it, so it must be true. So you just dropped a new video on your page
Yeah.
on your channel. What's
Yeah.
that
You know,
about?
I went through everything and I decided that was the first one I just wanted to put up, and it was the white line. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I didn't really think anything of it actually. Coming to the festival, I knew it existed, and it wasn't until we were on Hogs or going to Hogs, we were on Broken Arrow Trail, that they said, "Oh, let's check out the white line." So naturally, I didn't even want to think about it. I just went right up to it, took a look, and saw if I could even, ride the thing at first, and then just made my way out. And the rest is on the video. So I mean, you can kind of see how we handled it, but it was wild.
I'm gonna have to watch the video. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but
Yeah.
I went out to the white line for the first time as well this last year or this last event, and
Okay.
I've never been there. I'm like super afraid of heights, like ridiculously afraid of heights. So like you can just with that statement alone, you can understand why I didn't really have any interest in it, right?
Totally. You're protecting yourself.
Yeah, but I wanted to see it in person. You know what I mean? Like to really, because I watched everybody's video, everybody that's done a white line video, out of our friend group of creators,
Yeah.
I've watched, and I'm like, stomach's turning upside down. I'm like, totally think they're gonna die, even though I know they edited the video. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, it is just a roller coaster of emotions to watch. So I really wanted to see it in person to be able to put it into even more perspective, And
Yeah, I mean, when you say a roller coaster of emotions, that's what happened. I mean, I got
yeah,
up there, I slipped just a little bit, and then I kept it going, and I took a look at it, and Brian's just like, "Hey, down this way," and it was just a moment of like my heart starts beating, and I can feel it in my voice, like, "Am I okay to do this?" So you
yeah.
question yourself, and then you realize, you know, you'll probably be okay, but it's just one of those things where you don't want to probably be okay. You want to be 100% sure that you can do it.
Yeah, you don't want to be probably whenever it's like 1,000-foot fall if you're not.
Yeah. And I don't want to lose my bike. I mean, it'd be a great video, but no thanks.
Right. I when I got up there, like as you're approaching it, there's some vantage points when you look at it and you're like, oh, that's not bad at all. Like it looks kind of flat. Like when you're riding up Broken Arrow,
Right. You're
there's
kind of looking up at it. So it seems like the angle is, there's maybe support there.
yeah, and it's really not intimidating. And then you'll turn another corner and then you're like, no, that's a freaking cliff.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's weird how just from a different angle, the
Right.
perspective of it like completely changes.
Yep. Yeah. And then it changed too, right? As I got to the face and right as you're on it, it just
Yeah.
starts standing up and looking taller. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
When I got up there, I got up to the point where you have to like kind of like pick your bike up to get it up to the white line.
Yeah. And just right there, you can see like how much of a difference it is to get
Yeah.
onto the
And I
surface.
and I climbed up there, which I'm, honestly like really shocked I even got myself to there. And I'm standing there and it is like way more off camber than I expected it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Like
agree.
like like I would love to have a camera on the ground and see how close your pedal is to the ground when people are pedaling out there.
Yeah, there's not much room for pedaling. You have to keep your feet pretty level and be very careful with your pedal strokes for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched it. I mean, there was a guy with our group that rode it while we were there, and I just watched him roll out, and it was just like, I don't even know how like he had his composure together. I mean, I couldn't, there's like I don't know, when you climb up there, that spot that we're talking about, there's probably about, I don't know, about 15, 20 feet. And there's like a little knuckle of the hill that you got to go around to like continue following the white line. And I couldn't even walk past that knuckle because it was like just getting to that knuckle and then looking down, it was like, I just felt like it, my brain, like, you know, they say your mind's eye, like my mind's eye was just seeing me like slip a foot and just being like, you know,
yeah, that's when your balance and everything else just starts to leave you too, because it's wherever your mind is, kind of where your body feels like it's going too. So
yeah, it's just like at least for me, and this is why I get worried on some of the exposure stuff, is because like when I start getting in that nervous state of mind, like I am not doing anything logical, like I'm not controlling myself, like for example, a good example would be like on shoot, there's a trail, Big Chief. Have you ridden Big Chief in North
I
Lake?
haven't ridden Big Chief yet. I still need to ride that place.
There's a super long log roll on that trail. It's probably like 20, 30 feet long. And the log is probably about 2 feet wide. So it's not like it's a
Super
super
skinny.
skinny.
Yeah,
But as soon I get about 10 feet out into that thing and my handlebars just start like rocking back and forth. And it's like completely out of control. Like I'm like, instead of being able to micro adjust, I'm like aggressively adjusting where my handlebars are pointing. And it turns into this like circus act of me getting across the rest of the skinny. And that's like a perfect example of like why I can't ride like super exposure, because my brain just starts doing like, it's like, no, this is not the way it's going to go down.
You have to be like calm yourself to get through that.
Yeah. My other buddy, this will be on my video, but my buddy Moonlight Leatherfoot, lots of you guys that watch the channel are very familiar with Moonlight. He went up there and he walked the whole thing, and he came back, and I like looked at him in the face, and I'm like, so are you going to do it? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And he had this look on his face, was not like it looked like it was like, yeah, I'm gonna go shoot my dog kind of face. You know what I mean? Like you know, like telling yourself that you're gonna do it, but upset and not happy with yourself at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he's pretty ballsy. He likes to just do something. So.
Oh yeah, he does. And so he ended up getting out there, and he rode out to the rock roll, and he stopped. And once he stopped, he couldn't get over it, you know. And he said, I was sitting there, so I'm filming, and I'm like I'm holding a camera out to the right of me, so it's filming my face as well as my GoPro's on my chin. So like I'm trying to I'm like, hurry up, get to it, man. My arm's getting tired. You know what I mean? Like, and every time I'd hear him like let go his brakes a little bit, you know, you could hear like little, because the sound like travels so well up there.
Yeah, and you can hear somebody like a full-on conversation. You can hear the people below you.
Yeah.
Go, oh wait, no, don't do that.
Yeah. You could hear the people talking down at Chicken Point, which is like what do you say? It's probably at least like 3 football fields away.
It's a pretty good drive. If I was to hit a driver,
Yeah. It's definitely like a good distance. And so anyways, like every time I could hear him like let his brakes go, like he was thinking about it, and then he'd pull them again. And I was like, oh dude, it was just like so hard to watch, because I mean, it's one thing watching it online, and then it's another thing watching your buddy do it up there and not have anybody like
I know
standing down there to
filming
maybe catch
myself.
him.
I wasn't filming myself. I was filming obviously with my phone, and at a couple points where the crashing dad started to slip, I just had to like almost put my phone down and just start hoping and praying for him that he was going to be okay, because I couldn't even hold the phone and like keep my own composure.
Yeah. So I talked to him. So Moonlight ended up not doing it. He ended up like just like, hey, it's not working out, you know, whatever reason. And so he came back, and I talked to him about it, and he said he's like, dude, my whole body was trembling. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, no matter what I could tell myself to, like, I can do this. The worst case, like he had said, he's like, worst case scenario, my bike's going to go off the freaking cliff and I'm just going to, like,
Cling on to the rock or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And he's like, but he's like, I kept trying to tell myself that. And it just, he's like, it took him like probably 10 minutes. It seemed like he was standing up there and until it finally just was like, no,
Nope. Yeah.
Which is interesting. Like you said, I mean, he's definitely one of those guys that is usually like, just go for it,
Well, that's really good. That's a big step because it's not going to be a good alternative if it goes wrong. It's not just like falling down the rocks.
Yeah. So once you did it once, did you go back and do it again, or?
I didn't really do it. So you're gonna see in the video, and I'll spoil it. I don't care. I just decided that it wasn't for me, and I would rather not guinea pig it and go down it myself first. I'd rather see somebody that knows what they're doing do it, and not just make the call to think, I can probably do it, and then maybe not. So I mean, this was life or death, and it was pretty clear. Like the signs were coming up. Joe's like, "Oh well, if Josh didn't do it, you probably shouldn't do it." Yeah. And when you hear stuff like that, and you're on the mountain, and you're looking at it, you're just like, "No, I'm just gonna walk my butt down and then ride all the way back." And that's what I did. Yeah. But it was still worth it for me to try and to see like how I would react in the situation, and then know that I had my friends and that I was gonna be okay and get out. So.
Yeah, and I mean, it's surprisingly that Josh didn't do it, because when Josh did it last time on his video, he's just talking about how easy it is and blah, blah, blah. So
yeah, and you'll see him talking about it again, and then you'll see after I don't do it and he doesn't do it, that he goes back, and both him and the crashing dad have a little go at it again. So you can watch the rest.
Oh, nice. Right on. Yeah, it sounds interesting. I know he took a digger later too. Didn't he take a little spill on the exit, I think?
He did, actually. That was right before. So before he went back up to look at it again, he decided to see if he could do the exit.
Yeah.
He did it, but then his brakes just kind of failed again, and then he went into the side. He had a lot of momentum.
Yeah. That's definitely not a place where you want your brakes not to be working well.
Yeah. No kidding. Thankfully, he was okay.
Yeah. I rode Hangover with him the day before that. And once again, that was another one of those spots where I've seen a bunch of videos, and there's this roll that they were doing in one of the videos that I saw that RC was like, it's just not for me. And all the other guys had done it. And I'm feeling pretty confident with like my rock rolls. Like we have an area, Granite Bay, it's got a ton of rock rolls. Like we got a bunch of them up we got a bunch of them up in Tahoe. So it's like, I'm not really like super intimidated by them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You've kind of worked your way up to know what you can do.
Yeah. But man, when I got out there to that one in particular, it was just like, once again, it's one of those spots where you just feel like, man, if this goes wrong.
Was that on Hogs?
No, it was actually on Hangover, the trail Hangover.
It was on Hangover. Sorry. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that one on Hogs, that is like a right-hand turn.
Yeah, I know which one that is. Yeah.
Dude, I tried that thing like 3 times and I could not get my brain to stop pulling my back brake. I kept sliding out.
Yeah.
I feel like
I haven't done Hangover yet. And you liked that one, you said.
Me personally, I don't really feel like it was that great. I mean, it's like, I would definitely say there's no reason not to do it, because like it's one of the big name trails, I just don't know how much I would actually want to do it again. Like regardless,
so it's tough.
It's just like the spots, the things that I really enjoy about mountain biking. There's only like 3 sections on that whole trail that are like 100 yards long that are the things that I enjoy about mountain biking. And the rest of it is like uber technical climbing.
Yeah.
And that's like just not super enjoyable to me. Like there's so many other trails that I could spend that amount of time that I've spent on that
Yeah.
having
I feel
like way
like
more fun.
every trail out there felt like a black diamond going up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then 1,500 feet of climbing or elevation turned out to be more like 3,000. I mean, for how much you were working, that's how.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I believe it there. I mean, and it's like a full body climb. It's not like here in Northern California when you're climbing, you're
You're not
like,
just spinning up the fire roads. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you're just getting it's a grinder. You know what I mean? And like maybe some places get steep, but you're just like just putting the sweat equity in, where there it's like you're like balancing and you're track standing and you're throwing your bike up and you're pushing your weight this way. And it's like you're doing this like calisthenic bike aerobics or something, like
Yeah. Yeah. It
yeah.
was wild. I loved it.
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely you can see how like why the people in Arizona are like all amped off of like technical climbing because obviously they got a ton of it. So you have to either like tell yourself you like it or not be a mountain biker, right?
Yeah. You live there and you go anywhere else and it's got to be boring or it's got to be easy to you, I would think.
I just wonder. I wonder how they feel here though, like where they're like, I mean, for us, we're like descending on some trails for like an hour, like for them, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna go downhill, and we're like, okay, sweet. And then like 10 seconds later, we're climbing, and you're like, I thought we were going downhill. They're like, yeah, this is the downhill part. You're like,
Yeah, you just got to keep the momentum and keep it going. Yeah.
yeah. It's definitely so I wonder, like, for them, like to come somewhere, like let's just say like somewhere like Downeyville, and like their their muscle groups are probably not, in the same state to have that like that extended amount of like downhill kind of action. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be interesting test to kind of see how they'd fare out. Yeah.
Like honestly, I came back and I rode Auburn. That was the first ride I did, and it was just, it was the first time I was probably over 25 miles an hour, and like since like all the time in Sedona, like you don't get going very fast anywhere.
No, if you hit 25 miles an hour, you better be ready to like hit some chunk and slow down because yeah,
Yeah.
something's coming.
Yeah. I mean, there's only a couple of spots where I can think of where I was able to like really kind of let it open,
Yeah,
but they're like very short and few and far between.
yeah. It's so cool that we have, the ability to just, make a trip happen and be in another world, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Have you always been? Are you're from Northern California or whole life?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up in Napa. Napa actually has quite a bit to offer for mountain biking, but I didn't grow up doing mountain biking, so I never really knew what we had until more recently. But
How did you get into riding?
so it's kind of a funny story. My buddy and I were playing golf out at Silverado Country Club, and my other friend that lived out there had a mountain bike, and he came off of one of the tee boxes, and he was jumping the tee boxes. So I'd never seen that, first of all, and then it was just a full suspension mountain bike. He let me look at it, and I was just kind of blown away that you could do something like that on a modern bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just a golfer at the time, so it intrigued me. And I grew up racing go-karts when I was 9 and 10 years old, so I like racing. I like, competitive sports.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, yeah, I started riding a little bit with him and fell in love. It's pretty tough.
What was the first bike you had?
It was his hardtail. It was his hardtail Navarro.
Uh-huh.
But my first mountain bike was a Giant Trance, 26-inch, 125, 130 travel, full suspension mountain bike.
Right on. I think
it was like a 2012.
That's like the same bike that Moonlight had when I first met him.
Yeah, I think it's the same bike a lot of people I knew had, like for their first bike. It was like a good time to be a mountain biker or get into the sport, like around 2012.
I think Giant does a really good job of making like good entry level bikes for people to have fun with. Like I rode one of the Giant Trances, a newer one. At this point it's been like 3 or 4 years ago. But I remember
was it a Skyline?
No, it was where was I riding at? It was in Auburn. My bikes were like like both my bikes, or I only had one bike at the time, whatever reason, I didn't have a bike. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to go rent one and we'll see what it's about, you know? And the place that I wanted to rent from didn't have the bike that I wanted in the size I wanted. And I just started calling around, and one bike shop had this giant trance, and it was like super cheap too to rent. It was like $30 or something like that. And I
That's
was
awesome.
like, yeah, I was like, what the hell? This is not a bike that I ever would want to try, but you know, I'll give it a shot. Makes content, right? And I was really blown away by that bike. Like I had so much fun riding that thing, and it was like a $2,000 build compared to like my Bronson. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I was just, it really gave me a brand new respect for, or a different perspective for like Giant and what they
Right,
do.
because they were just like a Walmart brand or something before.
Right.
I mean, at least in most people's mind, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, they're just such a big company, and you just kind of like, I don't know. At least me, I'm just, I don't know. I just didn't really think that bike would be as fun as it was, you
Yeah.
know?
So funny story. I mean, I've actually only been on Giant, other than my Santa Cruz now.
Yeah.
So I just had that Giant Trance, and then I got a 27.5 because that was like the next cool thing. And then
Uh-huh.
that was the gold Trance. It had like a 160 fork and a 140 rear. And
Uh-huh.
that thing like really elevated my game and stopped going over the bars as much, and really started learning how to ride the bike. And then I figured, you know, the gnarly stuff was still like giving me trouble, and I wanted to get better at going down the hardest trails. So I got a
Mm-hmm.
Giant Rain. And then
Oh,
the Giant
nice.
Rain was like my 160 like enduro bike.
Yeah. That
And
thing's
then
a
I got the
sled.
Mega Power. Yeah.
So
So I kind of stuck.
what made you decide to leave Giant?
It wasn't really a brand decision. So it was just more like I wanted to test all the bikes, and like just because I'm a golfer and I have to test out equipment quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really obsessed with like fine tuning and tinkering and feeling the differences between technology.
Mm-hmm.
And each bike has a different suspension platform that behaves really differently. And I wanted to know why.
Mm-hmm.
So, just for me personally, that's kind of where my Bike Somm name came from. Is just learning the different bikes, kind of understanding the characteristics between them, and what pedaled good, what went downhill good, and why. So,
Mm-hmm. So you're like the bike sommelier.
so now I'm like a bike sommelier, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You could like lick the tire and tell what country it came from.
Exactly. I can tell you what part of the world it's from. What? Yeah. No, not quite.
That's too funny. So you're what then got you to the point where you're like, okay, I'm learning this mountain biking thing. I'm digging it. Now I want to try to be a content creator.
Shoot. I don't know. I guess I've always done video for golf, and I've liked to
Uh-huh.
film my swings and kind of understand, you know, how to improve. And by filming, at least on the mountain bike, I found that if I took my camera out, I could see my lines and see where I rode, and maybe I can
Mm-hmm.
adjust and kind of learn how to get better or faster in spots. And then seeing BKXC, just starting to watch YouTube instead of TV and playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
It really just like drew me into the whole world of mountain biking, and I just wanted to see what I could do, and keep pushing my limits. And then
Yeah.
the GoPro, you know, it became a racing thing too, so I could go out to the races and see where you know, I could improve in my times and in a competition place. So it's been
Yeah.
it's been very transformative. Like I didn't expect to get into filming and doing YouTube, but it just kind of worked out that way, I guess.
Yeah. I would have never like thought that watching a video of me going down a trail could help me go faster. But you know, the Confluence Trail in Auburn.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line, me and one of my buddies made a bet about who could be faster on that. And because of that, it just started this competition between us, and, you know, ended up roping in some other friends. And at one point, like I made a video, it's actually on the Biker channel. I made the video just like how I PR Confluence. And really the video is actually only made so that we could go back and watch it over and over and over. And basically we would sit out here in the garage and be drinking beers and like watching it like 10 seconds at a time. Which way do you go around that rock? How do you hit that rock? How do you
Yeah.
hit are you braking here or are you braking there? Like
Yeah.
when you're here, what are you like? And we would just have these conversations and like just analyze the living shit out of that trail. And I mean, we've taken minutes off of when we first started. I think both of our me and my buddies' times were like 7 minutes, you
Yeah.
know,
That's pretty. Yeah.
and that's still cooking pretty good. I mean, it's not going to get you a top 10 time for the
No, that's
day,
pretty
but
decent. Like to get under 10 minutes, you have to be trying and
yeah,
pedaling.
yeah. And so, and now we're running at like, I have like a 521 and my other buddy, Brandon, he's got a 509. Like, it's like 2 minutes of change from like really pushing and that video, like watching that video, I 100% wouldn't be as fast as I am if it wasn't for that
Yeah.
video.
Yeah. I mean, I did that same thing kind of at Skyline. Like Buckeye is my local trail that I've
Yeah,
probably
that's a
done
fun
like
one.
300 times. So yeah, you take a couple hundred videos and you start to see, oh, why am I slower here? Why does that not look fast? And then
Yeah.
you analyze it, and sure enough, like it does help to kind of look at it and depict like where things maybe could be improved. And the video
I
does that.
I think the other thing that it did for me is like we would find lines that we didn't ever see because like you like humans are like creatures of habit,
Yeah.
and you're as hard as you're trying to pick a different line, your like natural instinct is keep going the
Oh,
same
go
way
back
because
what
we're
felt good. Yeah, be
right.
comfortable. Yeah.
Right. And sometimes we would be watching that video and it'd be like, dude, look, you can go right over that rock right there
Yeah.
and like cut that whole little like janky little turnout there, you know? And it's like, why have I never seen that? You know, and it's just because in your mind, when you're like pushing as hard as you can, your heart rate's up,
Yeah.
you're like not making those kind of decisions, you know? And then you go out and you try it and you're like, oh my God. Like there just recently, I actually like found a little rock that I was like, why have I not jumped off this before? And it like just takes a little like it's probably a half a second,
Yeah. And
you
that's the
know?
thing too, is you kind of said it is it's not so much just to be faster. Sometimes it helps you see more things on the trail and just helps you
Yeah.
get creative and do something you haven't done before too.
Yeah.
So it's cool how you can use video to help aid yourself and then learn more as well on the
Yeah.
trails.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely interesting. It's definitely not like I started out. It's definitely not something that I would have ever like
Yeah.
considered in the first place, you know?
Yeah. I
So
know
I
a lot of
urge
things that I've
anybody out there
a
that
lot of
has
things
a
that I've
GoPro.
done, I swear, they don't happen by intention. They just end up like, oh, I did this thing and that led me to this.
Uh-huh.
And then you kind of find, what works and you stick with what works and you ditch what doesn't. So
Yeah. So you were talking earlier about golf. How'd you get into that?
shoot. Well, my dad said I couldn't do racing anymore because it was too expensive. And I was like really getting into go-karts when I was like 10 years old, 11.
Uh-huh.
And
Like who
I
isn't
was
into
kind of
go-karts when they're 10?
Yeah, no, I got into go-karts really young. I was fortunate at that. And I mean, when you start getting competitive into go-kart racing, it costs thousands of dollars to go do those races. And my dad's like, hey, I'm sorry, dude, I'm not like a super millionaire. I can't send you to all these races. You're going to have to do something else. And I
Yeah.
took up golf. So I went from the fastest sport in the world to the slowest sport. And I don't really know why. I think it's just because I did baseball, I did soccer, I did all these sports, and team sports were cool, but I don't know. There was something about having total responsibility of myself and
Uh-huh.
my own game per se. So
Uh-huh.
golf was one of those games where it's you or you can't blame anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's similarities with mountain biking then.
Absolutely. Like in mountain biking, you are the golf ball, in my perspective
Yeah.
too. So you're not near as invincible in mountain biking as you are in golf.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
hit the
Yeah.
golf ball out of bounds and it doesn't matter. So.
Right. Did you have a friend that was into golf or something? Like, why did you just pick golf?
That's a good. I
You're
think
like,
Tiger
Tiger Woods is
Woods.
super cool. I'm gonna
I
just
I, I honestly think it was like I found it really interesting to watch Tiger Woods come onto the scene on the PGA Tour and just start dominating. And it was probably like 2000, like 1999, and he took over the world and like really upset the golf world. And it was something that maybe he's got my last name. I just felt a lot in common with the guy because he's just somebody that wanted to like make it and be a superstar, and no matter what anybody was going to say, he was going to will it to happen. So I just loved his mentality and his ability to just become Tiger Woods, I guess.
Yeah, he definitely did.
And I think I was good at the game, so I was good at putting and good at chipping, but I was never really like a good striker of the golf ball. So it took me a long time.
So had you golfed before that? Like,
well, I mean, you have to learn from, the green to the tee kind of thing. So
no, but what I'm saying is like when you were 10 or 11 getting out of the go-kart stuff, like had you golfed before, or it was just like,
no, it's just like, I want to try this.
I'm going to try something totally new then.
Yeah. I mean, I was good at sports, so I just wanted to try everything and see like what I was going to be the best at.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I did, I guess. Yeah.
So then you ended up making a career out of that then, right?
Well, yeah, I wanted to be Tiger Woods. Like, I wanted to be the best in the world and play on tour. And that was my goal. So out of high school, I went to the JC and kind of realized after a year of playing at the JC that wasn't going to be helpful for my golf game. Playing on teams is fun, but if you really want to play, you have to play on the mini tours like the Pepsi Tour or the Players Tour. And some of these golf tours that get you to the PGA Tour. So you have to build your way up and do these tournaments. And that's just the whole path that I ended up taking is I wanted to go to the top, and I wanted to see if I could be the best in the world. And you just never stop trying, and you never stop believing. And it was just all or nothing until I found, I have to make a job and like make some kind of money to make these tournaments keep happening. So I got a job in a restaurant. I was a server, and just played golf when I could. And then as a golfer, like there was a club that took me in, and obviously Meadowood Napa Valley helped me become a teacher and a pro. So I started teaching, and I was teaching for about 6 or 7 years. Just recently, until they burned down last year in the Napa fires. So there's just been so much going on ever since like I decided I wanted to be a golf pro. That was it until I decided, okay, I have to make a living and I have to help people and use my craft to further me in the game. And maybe I can still be a pro someday, maybe. But I kind of dropped that dream when I started helping people and then focusing on mountain biking and myself and what else I could do.
So you kind of pivoted into mountain bikes, and you said earlier that you're, super competitive. And I think the first time I talked to you,
lightheartedly, I'm competitive, but I'm a fair sport. Like I don't care to be beat. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. But I think what I was getting at is like, I think the first time that we talked, you were going to be racing up in Auburn, and I think we were talking on my channel about like showing you around or something like that. So you and the main reason that I know that is that I'll tell you a little story. When YouTube changed, they like did some kind of change to their platform. Oh, it's whenever they came out with the studio, the new YouTube studio for like creators, whatever your back end of your channel. And when they did that, all of a sudden, like hundreds of comments that were on my videos from years that I never got like notifications for were on there.
Oh
right.
My gosh.
Right. Yeah. And the one that was like, so I was answering then the ones that were relevant and new, right? But once I got to a certain point where it's like, this comment's from 2 years ago, I'm not responding to it, right? It's like, it is what it is, And the one that's at the last one that's like above anything that I get new right now is that conversation with you, because you were replying to something that I had said, and then it was like the conversation ended, so there was no reason for me to reply back. So that stays there as a reply that that I didn't respond to. And that's how I always know I'm at the end of my like new comments, is when I see that comment of you telling me like, hey, well, I'm going to look and find out when the race is, and then I'll reach back out to you and let you know whenever we're going to ride.
Oh, no kidding. That's funny. That's weird how that all worked.
Yeah. So like that's the main reason that I know that we had this conversation, because I see it every day.
Yeah. No, you gave me some tips that day, and then we ended up going out on Forest Trail or Forest Hill Divide or something.
Did
And
we?
we did some super long ride, and you're like, oh, that's not what I told you to do. Like, that's the long way.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so I learned the hard way the first time I went out there, but we still had fun. Like, Auburn's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some good stuff up there. I really enjoy there's good long climbs, and anytime there's a good long climb, there's a good long descent, and I think that's the thing that I enjoy about that place is, like, at the end of the day, mountain biking, at least for me, is like therapy as well. And being in the saddle for 45 minutes or 30 minutes climbing up some nasty climb, like, it's a good place to like get some shit in your head, thought
Yeah,
through,
you can't get any worse off from it. You're only going to get better in some way or another. You're going to get
Yeah,
stronger, and you're going to get
yeah,
sweaty and tired, and you're going to feel better afterwards. It's just the way it
yeah,
works.
yeah. And once you get done with the climb, you're like, all right, now it's time to freaking bomb downhill, and that's fun. So,
Yeah, exactly. That mountain biking actually helped me with a lot of things too. Like when I started, I had smoked cigarettes prior, and
mhm.
I don't tell a lot of people this, but it helped me stop smoking cigarettes. Because if you think about mountain biking and climbing up to a hill or to the top of some hill and wanting to take a deep breath of a cigarette, no, I don't think so. So I
Yeah,
mean, it really did help change my perspective on my air intake and like
yeah.
breathing in general. So yeah, mountain biking helped me quit that. So it's amazing what it did
That's
to me.
interesting. Was it
Yeah.
like just that like feeling of not wanting to do it, or it was like, man, I'm so
Yeah, it was
winded?
just a disgusting, like, there's no way in the world, like right
Yeah,
now, after making that climb, I would want one, you
yeah,
know? So for
yeah,
me, I didn't smoke for very long, probably like a year or two, but that was
yeah.
something that definitely like helped me kick the habit.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's been positive. Yeah.
I used to smoke as well, and
Hmm.
the thing that always surprises me is I did not realize how bad I smelled as a smoker until you're a non-smoker. Like you could be in the store and somebody's in the next aisle over that just smoked a cigarette before they came in, and you can smell them like over everything else that's in the freaking grocery store. You can like
It's
smell.
true. Yeah, and when you smoke, you don't care because you don't actually smell it yourself either.
Yeah.
Because it's in your system, you're good.
Yeah, you're like
But
nose blind to it,
I know it's yeah. That's something I don't miss is the smell.
Yeah, not at all. Whenever I like stopped smoking and I like realized how bad it smelled, I like instantly felt bad for like any girl that I ever dated that wasn't a smoker.
Yeah, they probably they
I
must
was
have been
like, man, they
special for
must have
that
really liked me,
Right.
because I don't think I would deal with that. I don't think I could.
I
Like
know.
now, I don't think I could date a girl that smokes. I don't think I could. Like I just couldn't
Yeah.
like be like licking an ashtray when you're trying to kiss her or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Definitely like I'm definitely like do as I say, not as I do kind of thing or something. I don't know how you say it. The door
Do as
doesn't
I
swing
say,
towards
not
you.
as I do,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. That's funny. So you start deciding that you want to get into racing. How long into riding whenever you decide like made that decision?
Um, Probably 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years.
You were
I
riding for a
started.
while
I
before
think
you
I
were like,
was racing on Strava before I was ever considering racing, like in person, because there
uh-huh,
was some really really fast guy. There are some really fast guys in Napa.
uh-huh,
I could say Jeremy Cowell, Joe Pridmore, Nelson Monge. That they were on the leaderboards of everything at Skyline, and by minutes they were ahead of me.
yeah,
So it was like, yeah, dude, if you really want to race, you got to at least compete, like, or at least get close to some of these times before you can
yeah,
really consider racing. But
yeah,
yeah, so it took a few years, probably like 4 years into it. I was on my gold trance the first time I went to the Battleborn Enduro. That was at
uh-huh,
Reno,
uh-huh,
and I saw Kyle Warner. I saw like, um, just a bunch of really really good riders that were all pro enduro racers back then.
Yeah.
And that was my first enduro, and it was crazy. I was just happy to get through the thing.
Yeah.
But I probably didn't race again for another year or two, and then I
What was
think
that experience like? You just got your ass handed to you, or?
it was just, yeah, it was in the elevation at Reno. The first stage I went down, my chain came off and kinked in like 4 places.
Oh shoot.
So I had like pros at the bottom trying to help me like unkink it, and they're like, dude, good luck, like best to you. And
Yeah.
somehow we were able to like unkink it, take out 3 links, and like I was able to finish the race. So that definitely made me like realize, okay, maybe I just need to be more prepared. And
Yeah.
and then yeah, I think like this last year is the first year that I actually took racing serious. I've been to Sea Otter a couple times. I think
Mm-hmm.
I've raced it twice. So I've raced the Ashland Enduro and then the North Star Enduro in
Mm-hmm.
sport. And then this year I was just deciding that if I'm going to race, I'm going to try to go expert because I
Mm-hmm.
felt strong and I felt fast. And I just wanted to see where I would end up for expert in my age group at least.
Mm-hmm. So, what does that consist of people that don't know what that race circuit is? Is that like
So the
5
California
races?
Enduro, yeah, the California Enduro Series is an enduro series where obviously they don't time you on the climbs, but
Mm-hmm.
basically they allow you to go out and start each stage within 30 seconds of the next rider, 30
Mm-hmm.
seconds to a minute. And then so you do the full stage in front of you with nobody really to hinder your performance unless you catch somebody. And at that point, you just kind of yell back and hopefully they let you around. But most of the
Mm-hmm.
time, you're racing and it's just you in the course, and then you're done with the stage. And then you climb up to the next stage. Obviously, you take your time. There's no time limit to get to that stage. You can't take all day, obviously. So you want to be
Right.
somewhat efficient about it. And then when you do about 4 to 6 stages, however many stages the race has, then you've completed the enduro. And at the end of the day, your fastest times are going to be the winners, obviously. And then, yeah, they combine each of the downhill segments
Mm-hmm.
to get your
So, do you
goal.
do that each stage multiple times, or you only get one shot at it?
Just one shot at each stage.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you get to practice the stages the day before,
Okay.
and you get to see them, and then you get to just go race them the next day. Or if it's a 2-day race, then you have some of the stages one day, and then the rest of the stages on the ladder.
Mm-hmm. And then, how many races are there in that series?
So this year there was, let's see, we started with China Peak, we did Shasta, we did Auburn, we had North Star, but then that got canceled because of the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to practice, but we didn't get to race. And then we did Ashland. So 4 total this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's going to be 6 total next year. They're going to add Georgetown to the
Oh,
mix.
nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
that'll be
that'll
the
be
first
fun.
race of the year.
Nice. That's the climbing out there sucks.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I've just taken the shuttle. So.
Yeah, I've well, just I mean, a lot of the stuff that you go down is the same way that you can climb, and so just think about it that way. They're
Okay.
shitty climbs.
Right on. I look
Yeah,
forward to it.
yeah. I definitely like. I was out there exploring and trying to like figure the place out right around the time that Tom started doing those shuttles out there. So like, whenever I heard that there was a shuttle, I was like, I'm going to try this because the way that I was going about trying to learn the place was like very painful. And so,
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard it's really difficult to navigate.
yeah, it's definitely that place is super fun though.
Yeah, it's
Um,
ripping. You talk about going over 25 miles an hour. That place
yeah,
is like, it feels like 40 the whole time. It's just
yeah.
so fast.
Before we get into Georgetown, which I'm very
Yeah,
willing to talk about,
yeah.
what are the like levels of racing? So it's like beginner or novice, and then intermediate,
Yeah, so just
like,
beginner, sport, expert, and then
and
pro.
then pro. So you signed up expert for the first time this year. Have you done
Mhm.
what was before it?
I've never done expert before that, but I got 3rd place in my last race in Ashland. I think it was
Uh-huh.
2019. So that was in sport. And I could
Uh-huh.
see that I was maybe in the top 10 for expert. And I realized, if that was the direction I was headed. And then having time to get stronger, I felt like I was ready for expert, and I just wanted to give it a go.
So you gave it a go. How'd it go?
I finished third place overall, so it went really well. It started out pretty shaky. I got 25th at China Peak, and honestly, I was just having to survive that place. That place is gnarly. And then Shasta was like
China Peak, like down in the bay.
China Peak's just under, like just above Yosemite or closer to
Oh,
Yosemite.
that's not where I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of China Camp. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, China Camp is near Marin. Yeah.
Yeah. So China Peak. So where you said it's up by Yosemite?
Yeah, it's I'm not totally sure exactly. It was about a 5-hour drive for me.
So it was just brutal. Like
it's just huge rocks everywhere, littered with rocks, and like kind of coarse sand that was really hard to turn in. And then a lot of it had been burnt too, so it was just a gnarly place. I was just trying to survive that place, and I got 25th out of like 40 maybe.
Yeah. So you were at that point, that was your first race?
My first race of the season, yeah. And I had no idea if I even should be an expert. I'm like, whatever. I'm in it now.
Yeah. So then what was your next one then?
I think the next one was Shasta.
So then how did that play out?
So that was just as mind-blowing, but not near as gnarly. It was like basically going to the beach and doing downhills in sand. That's what it felt like. But it was finer than sand, so it was almost worse. And it was so deep and pillowy that you just had to lean the bike or keep the bike straight most of the time. And it was just a game of stay on the bike, like do not fall off the bike. And I think I did it well because I got 5th place. So my whole game plan was just, dude, don't fall off the bike. Just, pedal hard where you can, but don't, be a hero.
Right.
And it worked out for 5th.
I've ridden in some places that are like that, and it's just like a controlled, like you feel like you're almost like surfing on your bike.
Like, by the end of the day, you get better at it because you're like, geez, nothing works. So you just kind of have to improvise and do your best.
Yeah, I think if you're riding that stuff all the time, then obviously like you just like it's a skill, then you have it in your like toolbox,
Yeah, I actually look forward to going back there because it was so difficult. And it felt like it made me a better rider and like a little bit more smart in racing too. Because you can't care about mistakes. You're going to make mistakes left and right, like all day long. You're making mistakes. You just have to get over it.
Yeah. So 5th place then. So now you're thinking, okay, 25th the first time, 5th place this time. Like, maybe I am in the right place.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that brings me back to like the top 10-ish.
Yeah.
And then, I went to Auburn, and everyone's like, oh, it's a local place for you. And I've been to Auburn, like you said, maybe 4 times, like 5 times.
So you didn't really know it.
So, I mean, I felt like I had a good advantage because it's not like I've never been there, like China Peak or Shasta.
Right.
So I had a little bit of an advantage to know what was coming, but the courses were so blown up when it came time to race. Like from practice, it was completely different. Like all the lines looked pretty bad, and there was just boulders in random spots. So you just had to, it was just like racing Shasta for me. I was like, who cares? You're going to make some mistakes. Just be fast and pedal where you can. And came out in 2nd place.
Nice.
To Jeff Thayer, or I think it's that Thayer. Yeah. He's a local. He's a really good like rider, and he got me by a 2nd.
Oh, nice.
So he got 1st place and I got 2nd, and we were both MTB Norcal guys on the podium at a local race at Auburn. It was a pretty good feeling. It was phenomenal.
So now at this point you're thinking, dude, this is looking good.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I'm on the podium twice. Like, okay, like let's go to Ashland. Let's finish this off.
So Ashland, I've never ridden up there, but everything that I see, it just looks super rad. Like, so that's more like,
if I had to describe like Lord of the Rings in trail format, like that's how it would be. It's just like a kingdom of different like climates that you go through, and then it's just the flowiest place I've ever been in my life. Like no breaking bumps in a lot of the turns. Just, I mean, some breaking bumps because of the race, but it's so flowy.
Yeah, it's just like grins for days up there, right?
Yeah. If I had to die right now, I would go ride there before I die.
That's awesome. So what happened? What happened in Ashland? So now you're coming off of second place.
Yeah, so Ashland was tough. I mean, it's a pedally course, and I have a 35-pound mega tower. So you're thinking about my bike. Like I use my bike for my whole season, and my bike's 166 in the rear, 170 in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to start labeling reasons why I didn't do better, but I got 7th place.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that was pretty good. Like I put down a strong effort, raced as fast as I could, and didn't make very many mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 7th place in the race actually put me. So I was 5th going into Ashland for the whole
Mm-hmm.
series, and I
Mm-hmm.
was just kind of hoping to get like a top 10, maybe a top 5, because I had just podiumed twice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think just riding smart and staying kind of to my game plan, like I had the last couple of races.
Mm-hmm.
7th place got me 3rd place overall. So
Oh, so it bumped you up.
yeah, maybe I'll be in the top 5. And even though I didn't make the podium for Ashland's race, they called me up in the end of at the end of the ceremony when we had the overalls, and they had me at 3rd place overall. So a couple of guys that were in 4th and 5th kind of faltered back just a little bit, or just enough to the point where I could just kind of squeeze out an extra couple points, and I got 3rd place overall for the
Dude, that had
California
to feel
Series.
so good.
It sounds amazing, and
Yeah.
I still don't quite understand it, but it's real. So
Yeah. So then what's the plan for next year?
I think the plan is, I mean, I did good, and I want to try to do expert again next year to see if I can at least, replicate like a top 5 would be great
Mm-hmm.
for the year, but just kind of see if I can maybe improve my fitness. I wanted to talk to Derek at Dialed Health and maybe get on a program so that where I'm actually taking my fitness to the next level, because I
Mm-hmm.
don't think the pros are any faster than me. For no reason. Like they're all extremely strong. And
Mm-hmm.
when it comes down to me getting better as a rider, I just know that I need to be stronger.
Yeah. 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 I definitely know, like, working out and stuff like that. Just I've definitely seen a change in my riding because of that. So it definitely
Yeah.
it does something, I think there's a lot more than just your legs that you're using on mountain bikes, and I think when people first get into mountain biking, you're just like, oh, all I gotta do is ride more and I'll get
Yeah.
faster. And it's like,
Just
but
leg day
there's
every
so
day.
many other like muscles that you're using that it's a full
Yeah.
body workout, man.
Now, I don't want to like get too far ahead of myself either, because I think I'm a good expert rider, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily even want to be a pro. Like if I could be
Yeah.
a pro, that'd be great, but I don't know that I want the pressures of having to be a pro and to be the best of the best. Because look, I already did this for golf. Like
Yeah.
that was my goal, was to be a pro golfer, was to be the best that I could. And really, at the end of the day, like it shouldn't be too serious. Like I want to have fun with it and keep
Mm-hmm.
keep my sanity in it, because biking is awesome, and I want to keep
Yeah.
it that way. I don't want it
Yeah.
to be like I have to be the best, and I
Yeah.
can't talk to you because I'm too cool. So
Yeah.
I want to be friendly and have this be my fun thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. My one buddy always says, don't take something fun and turn it into a job.
Yeah, it's too
Like,
true. I mean, if you love
yeah.
something, keep it, in your heart and close to your heart, but like don't try to make it too serious.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's hard to do, like, depending on your personality. So,
Mhm.
those of you guys that are listening and don't follow Bike Somm on YouTube, you should go by and check out his channel because you documented all the races that we just talked about, right?
Yeah, so every race that we just spoke of is like all on YouTube.
Yeah.
If you want to get into racing, if you want to see what the courses are like, they're all out there for you to see. You can see unedited, full stages on my
So
channel.
you basically have each stage, a video of each stage of the whole
Yeah,
series that you raced.
yeah, and that was kind of my goal too. Is it's not just so much to see, how well I can do for myself, but I wanted to put the stages out there so that people could see the race format and see what it is for themselves. If they have never raced and they want to see a full stage, they should be able to go to YouTube and click on a button and see the whole stage. That's just the way I
Right.
see it.
Right. Because, like, when you were probably getting ready to go,
There
like,
was
you were probably
nothing.
looking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to find people that like film their racing series or even film all the stages to the enduros, and you don't really know what you're getting into unless you just go out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's rad that you did that, man. That you got all that, out there and for
Yep.
other people to check out. And I mean, but do the courses change every year? Like,
they probably change a bit. So I mean, for me to like really keep it up, I'd have to go to all the races and just keep putting out, more race footage. Because I'm sure that they will change probably from time to time. But yeah, I think overall, this is a good base that I've got, and yeah, I'll try to show up to all the races that I can and keep it going if I can make it happen.
So now that you're a top 3 in the state, I guess you could say. How are you doing? How are you doing on the Strava back in your local trails? Are you up there on the KOMs, or you still chasing those guys?
Yeah, I definitely think I'm leaving Strava alone.
Yeah.
Since I have stopped racing, it's been nice to not have to feel like I'm in a race environment. And Strava is just for fun anyways. I think that most of people know that they mess up the times. They're never perfect and accurate.
Yeah.
And if you really want to know who's fast, your fastest times in a race may not be what they are on Strava, because you may be tired, you may be fatigued from climbing all day.
Yeah.
You don't have the same perfect run in all of your races that you do on Strava. So it's a little bit misleading. It's good to have for reference, but it's not like the be all end all is Strava.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I definitely hear you there. I have yet to get a KOM. I really want to get one.
I think I have about 50 something.
50?
Yeah, 50 something KOMs.
I don't really like, actually, this is what I want. I don't necessarily want a KOM. I just want to be a number 1 for the year.
That's just as fair. I mean, honestly, each year the trails change so much. Like a lot of the KOMs that guys have are from 2012, 2013, because the trail was smooth. And each year they get rutted and they change. So yeah,
my buddy made a really good comment. I feel like I actually talked to the guy at Trail Forks. No, but that's not Strava. I need to find somebody on Strava to have a conversation with on the Biker Bar and tell them my buddy's idea. He said, I think that the KOMs should reset every year.
Every year? Yeah.
Every year. Yeah. I feel like that makes sense, man. Because like what you just said, like somebody could have the KOM, let's just say on Stonewall, for example, in Auburn, right? A couple years ago, they bulldozed that and it was like super smooth. Or East Side's a good example. Like when they did trail work on that, they like bulldozed it and it was so smooth. Like you were just burning your brakes by the time you got to the bottom because it just was so fast, like incredibly fast. I'm sure that there's probably a KOM on that trail from that time. And I don't feel like anybody's going to be able to touch it because it does, as soon as it starts eroding, it just gets chunkier and slower and chunkier. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. You have a valid point for sure.
Yeah. Like they have like KOM, that like an annual KOM, and then they have another one that's just like,
for a minute they had like yearly KOMs. I forget what it was, but it was like, I think they're local legends now or something, but I don't know.
No, local legends is like just how many times you rode the trail.
Oh, I see. Yeah, they changed it all up, so I don't know anymore.
Yeah. I usually whenever I look at like my time, I'll look at for the day just because I'm curious, like, am I in the top 10 or am I, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I look at the year. I'll look at like, okay, how was I in terms of the year?
Yeah,
because
I think the year is pretty relevant. It's good to have that.
Yeah. I'm really close to getting one not in Downeyville, in Rockville. There's a downhill segment there that I'm like seconds away from the guy that's got number 1. And I met the guy with,
I said, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a guy, and I met the guy that has number 1, and I told him, I was like, I'm coming for you, dude. And right now is the time. Right now is the time to do it.
Yeah, it's probably prime right now.
Yeah. And what I tend to do, especially there, is do those runs at night. So like, there's no one on the trail. You know what I mean? So the guy that I was telling him coming after, he's like, damn, I'm shocked that you got that time at night. And I'm like, dude, the night doesn't really, like, if anything, I feel like it makes me faster because I can't see some of the stuff.
Yeah, you just kind of remember, I'm turning here, this is my line, and then
yeah,
probably the gnarly stuff disappears to the background a bit.
Yeah. So maybe one of these days I'll get one. I don't know. I was really stoked though. Like I'm surprised at how fast I am now compared to just like a year or two ago, you know, when I was a lot heavier. That, you know, my friends and we go out and ride somewhere and we look at Strava for the day and we're pretty much always in like top 10, you know?
Yeah.
And that feels really good, you know, because like I would have never, like I looked at guys getting times on like Confluence, for example, in Auburn that I get now, and just being like, I don't even know how they're, like, it's impossible. Like guys that were getting like the low fives, like what I do now. I just remember thinking like, that's insane. Like, how are you doing that? You know,
like, where are they getting it? Is it in the turning? Is it like, what is
I
it?
just couldn't fathom it at all. Like, I just couldn't understand how you could possibly be going that fast. You know, and what it does though is it really makes you like realize that like your skill set is like, your speed is relevant to your skill set. And you're like going as fast as you think you possibly can, right? But that's only for your skill set. You know, like you could be doing that run in 9 minutes that somebody else is doing in 4, but to you, like, that's as fast as it goes.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
when you
it's
start blurring that
interesting.
line, you start approaching, leaving your skill set, and then that's when crashing happens too. So it's like, yeah, you have to be very careful there.
Yeah. And that's the part whenever you get to the point where like, okay, you're getting, once you're getting close to like what the fastest times are on a trail, that's when you really have to start asking yourself the question, like, am I pushing outside of my skill set, or am I just pushing outside of my comfort zone? You know?
Yeah. And that's the
juggling
only
that.
question that you can answer too. So
Usually you don't know it until you're like laying on the ground, you wiped out.
Like, that was for sure the line.
Yeah. Definitely crossed the line today. So
yeah, actually I found it in my practice, like when I was racing this year, all my practice runs, I would purposely try to go slower because it's almost like the GoPro thing when you get to really take it in and like look at the footage and see where you can be faster. If you're just hitting the trail on practice as fast as you can, you're maybe making mistakes and you don't get to see some of the things that you would be taking in if you were going slower. And so that was kind of a challenge for me this year too, is just like following friends and then giving myself time to look at the terrain so that I'm not just going as fast as I can, because when you're racing, you are often blurring that line of your skill set and then, your actual ability. And you have to remember like where that is and stay within it so that you're pushing and that you're not falling off of it and going overboard.
Well, I think it's good too, like what you're saying is like, if you're going through it slower, then you actually have that opportunity to pick the lines
to push
that are right.
If you're already going max speed, then you're having to come back from that. And if you have more room to push into, then you can accelerate through obstacles that, otherwise you'd just be hanging on to. So
yeah, that's interesting. I know like on some of my Strava runs that are super fast, I usually, like, whenever I PR, 9 times out of 10, I finish that run and I'm thinking to myself, that was crappy. It didn't feel fast at all. And those are usually the ones that are like, I killed it.
Yeah.
And it's just because you actually are like riding.
Yeah, I've had this conversation, like, I swear 100 times with my friends, because it's like, dude, I ripped this segment. Like, that was the best time I've ever gotten. Like, you're a second or two back.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what? How? And then you go out and you have fun, or like you flow and you're like, well, it was okay. Like, it was chill. I did good. And then you set your fastest time. It's like, huh.
Yeah.
It's weird how your
it doesn't
mind
make
does
any
that.
sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense at all. Like, I've definitely, like, just not too long ago, a buddy of mine, we started tearing down this trail. And at first we were just going to, like, you know how it goes. we're just gonna have fun. And then you turn one corner, your buddy just starts
2
cranking.
corners later, like,
Yeah, we're just full on just pedaling the hell out of it, man. And it's like you're feeling out of control and you're like going stupid around corners and you're like, oh my God, this is nuts. And you get done, you're like totally winded. It takes you like 30 seconds even to be able to get a word out, you know? And you're like, man, we had to kill it. And then you look at your time and it's like 20 seconds slower than your fastest time. And you're like,
yeah, it's
what
like,
the
dang, what
fuck?
was that? What was
Yeah,
that for? Yeah.
yeah. So that's just it always blows me away. Even on that video that I was talking about earlier, the how to PR Confluence,
Mm.
while I was doing that run, I told the camera, this doesn't feel good. I'm definitely kind of slow on this one. And I ended up PR in that run. And it
Yeah,
was
and
like,
you know, in that moment when you say this doesn't feel that great, like you're probably accepting, hey, you know, it's okay, it's not my fastest, and then you're, you know, with that mentality, you're able to find, you know, your second wind, maybe, I
yeah.
guess. It's tricky. I don't really know, but there's something to it for sure.
Yeah,
When you forgive
or
yourself.
maybe it's like that you kind
Sometimes
of give up.
I almost look for a mistake. Like, dang, I just made a little mistake there. I'm gonna like inch my way back and like claw my way back a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if you feel like you're perfect, like at any given moment, you're not, and then
Yeah.
you're losing time again. So
I feel like sometimes whenever that happens to me, I think like in my head, I'm like, oh, all right, blew it. Like I'm not getting the PR.
yeah, yeah,
And then I think what happens is then I relax and then I'm actually riding better because I'm
right.
not trying to like hammer so hard. I'm like cornering better. I'm like
Yeah, it's probably
just
true.
kind of
Yeah,
being more playful. And because of that, I'm actually riding smoother. And then
yeah.
I end up doing well, you know?
Yeah, I love that. Like, this is why I love mountain biking, because there's no definite answer. There's no right or wrong. It's just
Yeah.
this is it's what makes us us and unique and
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. It's definitely really there's a lot of things about the sport that I enjoy. And it's yeah, there's so many parts to it, you know, like we talked earlier about the climbing and like being able to think things through. And I have like ADD, so my brain's like all over the place all the time. Like it's really sometimes like I'm like literally out loud like focus, Rob, like you're halfway through a sentence and then you start looking at something else and then you come back and read the other half of the sentence and then you're like looking at something else and you're like, Jesus Christ, dude, read the fucking paragraph, you know, like, and the thing that I love about riding is like when you're going down the hill and you're just freaking, you know, mock Jesus, there is nothing else that you're thinking about. Like,
Yeah, it takes a lot of that away. Yeah,
yeah, there's no bills, there's no girlfriend or wife, there's no like
yeah,
car that's broken down. There's nothing except for you and the bike and the trail. And that like that's it. And that's like, oh God, that's so good.
yeah.
You know?
It's hard to harness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because any other time in your life, at least me, like I'm always thinking about like 10 different things all at the same
Yeah.
time, you know?
Well, we got our internal story. It's going. Like, we got this
Yeah.
thing going. We got that going. And when
Yeah.
you're on the trail, you're legitimately just like in the now. Like,
Yeah.
we're here, we're now. Like, wherever you look and what you're thinking is going to happen, most
Yeah.
likely.
Yeah. It's so good. And then the friendships that you can get out of it. Just like Sedona is a great example. I mean, look, so many of us content creators all get to like that's the event where everybody tends to meet up with, you know, and
Yeah. So I found out you guys are just a huge family. So,
yeah, yeah, you're part of it now, man. You're a content creator, dude. You're in there.
well, I'm happy to be here. This is fun.
Yeah, yeah, but it's definitely like, you know, like that sport, you know, or this sport, like has made that happen, you know, like all the people that if I was throwing a party tomorrow that I would invite are all guys that I ride with. You
Yeah.
know, it's like um it's interesting, you know.
Yeah. For
And
my birthday, I just want like another dirt days
yeah.
just on home soil.
Yeah.
And have like the whole MTB Norcal family here, and just we all ride the trails and have good times, good smiles, and good laughter, and that's a good birthday.
So can you're an ambassador for MTB NorCal. Can you talk about what they are?
Yeah, so they were awesome enough to kind of bring me into their family. They liked what I was doing with my channel. They wanted me to be an ambassador and just share the stoke and promote them, to help promote all of our local trail advocacy groups, to just kind of make group rides happen, get people together, and just be a big family.
Hmm.
And with their YouTube presence, or not their YouTube presence, their Instagram presence, I kind of cover the YouTube side, where I have a few more followers, and I can bring them to kind of see what MTB Norcal is about, and we can be out there on the trails digging, helping people, like
Hmm.
Fat Track, American River Conservancy. Um, there's just so many options that we can do together, and they recognize that from a grassroots level, that if they give back to the communities, then they can help our communities, and everybody gets, what we're looking for out of mountain biking, which is more trails, just um, cleaner ecosystems and happier people and better sense of community, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
um, they really just kind of hit the ball out of the park with bringing the community together, and then helping people when they need help too, like Katie, for instance. So it's just good to be a part of them, and I'm stoked. So
Yeah, yeah. So essentially, they sell merch and put on events, and all of the money that they make out of that, they donate back to the trail system.
right, so they are a nonprofit, yeah, and
Yeah.
their whole goal is to just help the community, and to get people stoked on riding with products, and get people new trails. It's a
Yeah, right
good
on.
goal.
Yeah, I know whenever I first started hearing about them in the area, like everybody was like, "Oh man, these guys are putting on these group rides," and I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." They're like, and some people had told me like, "Oh, you should give them a follow, check them out." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, people tell me to follow stuff all the time, you know."
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
I was out in Auburn and like just doing a ride, and all of a sudden there's this group of like 60 dudes roll up, and I'm like, "What's going on?" And it was like, "Oh, this is MTB Norcal." I was like, "Wow." These guys are like, they're not messing around, dude. Like, this is like legit freaking groups here, man.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that just shows from their passion. They care about everybody, and when you get a bunch of good, like hearted people together, and they just want to go have fun and ride together,
Yeah,
that's a cool group. Like, you're gonna have
yeah,
a good time, regardless of skill level or whatever.
yeah. I was just gonna say that the personality is great too, because it's like you don't have to worry about, like, they're not dropping anyone, and if you're the slow
No, no,
guy,
yeah.
like
If
somebody's
you get a
like, "Yeah,
flat
dude, I'll
tire,
ride with
they're
you."
gonna take out a tube and say, "Hey, dude, we're gonna fix this." Like, we're not just gonna leave you stranded on the trail. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Dirt Days was their event that they put on. I can't remember. I had them on the podcast, and I can't remember if it was before or after Dirt Days. I think it might have been before.
mm,
So that event was basically like just a big kind of group ride, a bunch of group rides, some clinics, and then they had a bunch of vendors up there, right?
yeah, yeah. I had a bunch of um, companies that gave people some rental bikes or some demo bikes, and did
Yeah.
some group rides. It was just like our first real event since Sea Otter was canceled, since Sedona, so it was like the first real event that
Yeah.
we had since COVID, kind of.
I forgot about that. Yeah, it was. So people were like itching to get out and like do
We were,
something.
yeah, everyone was so stoked just to be there.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, because I remember
See
like right
people again.
before everybody was kind of like, "Well, what's going on with COVID? Are we still going to be able to do this?" And it was like, "It's outside," so and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that went really well. I remember I had a really good time that day as well. It was definitely fun. So they're planning on doing that again this year, right?
Yeah, I hope so. We still got to talk. I'm sure there's more details to work out, and got to see exactly what's going on with the wheelhouse. I'm not
Oh,
too
that
sure.
sold, I heard, or it like went out of business.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on the story, so I don't want to talk
Yeah,
about it if I don't know. But
yeah,
we're gonna
yeah,
hope to have it again for sure.
yeah. I hear you there. Well, if nobody owns it, I mean, seems like the parking lot's fair game to me.
Yeah, we'll just everybody show up. We'll still have fun. It'll be fun.
Yeah, yeah. Everything gonna be all right, man. So, so then, as far as the race season goes for next year, when does that start?
I still got to look at it.
Yeah.
I've been like in race mode all year now, so
Uh huh.
to go to Sedona with you guys, to just hang out and ride bikes again is like, who cares?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
time to chill.
Not
But
thinking about it just yet.
probably come like January when it's time to sign up. I'm going to be
Mm-hmm.
signing up within like the first 5 minutes, because
Mm-hmm.
if you don't, then the races sell out very fast.
Oh, okay.
If
So
you are
how's that work?
planning
Then
on
you have to
racing,
like pay for all the rate. Like, what do you have to pay? I don't know how much that.
I mean, each race is probably like 150,
Mm-hmm.
give or take, maybe some less, some more.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's
Wow, that's kind of.
expense and travel, and yeah, so you just have
Huh.
to plan ahead of time and be really prepared for it, so that
Do
you're
they
going
charge
into
you
the
at
race.
each race, or do they charge you like all up front?
Each race. So
Oh,
each
okay.
race opens up at different times.
Well, that's
You don't
cool
just
then.
get to sign up for the whole season, but
Oh, I see.
that gives everybody a fair shot to like schedule like when they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
sign up for each race. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Interesting. So, but you definitely. So, do you think you're gonna stick with the same bike, or you think you learn any lessons there?
That's a good question. I could probably do the full race season with a little bit less travel.
Uh-huh.
170, 166 is quite a bit, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is my only bike. I don't have sponsorships. This is what I paid for, and I only bought it because lifetime warranty. I don't ever want to have to buy a bike again,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's just my bike. I mean, it'd be nice to have a shorter travel bike or something for like Ashland or for Auburn or for Sea Otter.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think about North Star, and I think about Shasta, and well, maybe not Shasta, but China Peak, and then Georgetown. So
Mm-hmm.
those are going to be big travel days. You want a nice, comfy bike to take care of all your mistakes.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm supposed to be going to Georgetown on Sunday.
Oh, really? Already?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm kind of stoked about that. I'm a little bit nervous just because my knee is not 100% back
Oh,
together yet.
yeah. Dude, you know you
So
need some better knee pads, right?
yeah, I definitely bought some new ones after that tumble in Arizona.
Those things
So
sliced like a banana peel. It was scary.
I looked at them later, and after like kind of looking at the pads and then the other like bruising and cuts that came out, like a day later, like, you realize.
Yeah.
I think what happened is I hit something mid shin, like really freaking hard because it ripped the through the pad, and I
Mm.
had some bruising around that. So I think when that hit, the pad like probably kept me from like breaking my leg or shattering it or something, like really
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
And when that happened, then the pad was stuck, to that rock, let's just say. And as I rolled, then it pulled my pad down. So then the next point of contact that I hit with my knee, then the pad
Yeah.
was pulled away.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and then that's why it cut my knee the way that it did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think on one hand, like I could say that the pad didn't do its job, but I think that it did do its job. It just didn't do all of its job.
Yeah.
You know,
You're not gonna keep wearing those ones though. Those are toast, probably.
I think I'll sew them and I'll use them for
Just a soft
less
day.
rocky
Yeah.
stuff, because they're still really good
Mm.
pads. Like they breathe really well. They're they do their job if you're keeping yourself from skinning your taking your skin off or whatever. And I think I bought a set of the 7 IDP Sam Hill pads, and
Yeah.
they
Pretty good ones.
definitely. I feel like if I was wearing those pads that day, that I wouldn't have the injury that I have now. Um, they definitely have like way better padding all around everything, and they're like so much more snug. So like if I hit something the way that I did, they wouldn't move as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But and they still pedal pretty well. I'm actually really surprised with them. Like when I first picked them up, I didn't think I was gonna like them, and then I tried on like 4 different pads at the shop there in Sedona, and those ones actually, like, despite how they felt in my hand when I put them on, they felt really good. And I've been riding with them, since then, and so far they seem to be all right. I do like, I put a lot, I ride a lot, sometimes 6-7 days a week, you know, and when you ride that much, you'll start to notice like hot spots from like riding too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So like if you like just wore those pads for like most normal people that ride like maybe 1 weekday ride and 1 weekend ride or something like that, you would never get those hot spots. But where when you wear them 5, 6, 7 days in a row, like you start getting some like, oh, there's a little rub like right on the top of my kneecap, or there's a little rub in the bottom of your shin, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that comes up quicker for sure.
yeah. So I'm curious to see like when I'm riding with them that much, like how they handle that,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you have to let me know. I've heard good things about them.
yeah, I've been really, really impressed with them so far. So the thing is right now though, is like with my knee, I feel like I might have to just not ride for like a week, because what I've been like, so people understand what I'm talking about. Like basically I sliced my knee to the point I should have got a couple of stitches that night, but instead we sat around the parking lot and drank a bunch of beer, and then just taped it together with some butterfly stitches and thought it was going to be fine. And then the next day I got up and got a shower and was like looking at it in the shower and was like, yeah, this is pretty bad. This definitely needs some stitches. So I'm going to go to urgent care. So I went to urgent care and they were like, you waited too long. So it is what it is. You're just going to get a badass scar at this point. So, um, so with
Memories.
all that
Yeah.
being said, what's happening is whenever I ride, because you're bending your knee so much, and then there's like, I'm putting a bandage on it, but the knee pad's still rubbing the bandage. The bandage is still rubbing the cut, and it just
Yeah,
seems like it
that's a
keeps
tough
like
spot.
opening it. Yeah, it just seems like it keeps opening it up, and I feel like it's just not going to heal unless I actually just don't ride for like a week and let it like heal. We'll see how successful I am at that. I mean, I just while we've been sitting here on this podcast, made plans with apparently an MTB Norcal to ride with them tomorrow. And I already told you I'm riding on Sunday in Georgetown. So
It's gonna
apparently
happen.
I'm not
It's
doing a
gonna
good
happen.
job of it yet.
Sure. The first time I rode Georgetown was with MTB Norcal.
Yeah.
Don actually got me out there, and I wouldn't have been riding there if it wasn't for him. So I've already been seeing the comments kind of coming in from people that are looking up like where Georgetown is, because they're like, "Oh, this is going to be on the CES next year. Good looks, like
Uh-huh.
good video." And
Yeah.
it was with those guys that I was riding, and then Jake Keller, I think, was out in front, just shredding the whole place up, making it look like it's simple as can be. But it was
Yeah.
gnarly for sure. That
There's
place
some
is cool.
big chunk there, like some spots where it's just a lot of like big
Boulders.
baby head sized boulders. Yeah. Where you're just
Yeah,
like,
just you're going 30 miles an hour, and there's like they're moving in the trail, just like
yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
see them because you're just ripping too. But
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, it's fun up there. It's definitely fun, but you have to, you definitely have to be there with your A game. And when you're following somebody, it's,
yeah, you're hoping they're
you're,
taking the right lines.
yeah, you're putting a lot of trust in them. The last time I rode it was pretty dry and dusty. So this time of
Mm-hmm.
year, when I've ridden this time of year up there, it's usually really fun just because you don't have all that dust to deal with,
Yeah,
and
you can see. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But then, it's some places it gets sloppy then. So then it's like you're dealing with that instead of your tires just like slipping all over the place because it's like muddy or whatever. Speaking of tires, what do you run on your bike?
Let's see. Right now, actually, because of Jordan from Specialized, I have an eliminator on my rear, which
Mm-hmm.
typically I run a Maxxis DHR2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always like a gravity casing guy, so the eliminator has been pretty good. It's kind of what I would almost consider like a smaller tread version of an Asagaya. And the
Mm-hmm.
Asagaya is the tire that I run up front, which is the best
Yeah.
tire I've ever had. It can
Yeah.
literally just grip in any direction.
Yeah.
And I like to have the rear tire slide a little bit. I have run Assegai front and rear. Actually, at Georgetown, I did that. But it grips a lot. So if one's going to go before the other, it's probably going to be the front. So I like to have the rear slip a little bit or just give a little bit more before the front will, because your front's like your tractor. You want that to grip all day.
Yeah, I just did a 90-second review on the Assegai, and I like that tire too. I feel like it's just it's like they took the DHF and they were like, how can we make this better? And then
so what it is, it's like a DHF, it's a shorty, it's a DHR2, and it's a high roller. I think it's like a bunch of different tires combined into one. It's pretty sick what they did that.
Yeah, I like the Aggressor on the backside though.
You like the Aggressor? I haven't really had the chance to try the two together. Do they work together?
Yeah, I feel like it rolls really well, and I don't know, for whatever reason, that's been my like go-to tire combination is Assegai Aggressor. On the on my tall boy, I had a DHF DHR, and that was just because like right now with COVID, it's like you go to the shop and sometimes you just get what
so
you
hard
get,
to find a good tire now.
Yeah, I've definitely for the first time in my life, I have tires hanging on the wall right now, like that are there for whenever I blow something,
just an emergency.
Yeah, because like I never did that before, but now it's like you walk into a shop and you're like, oh, like for instance, I have this Minion SS. I don't know if you've ever used that tire. It's super fun. But I walked into a shop, and when I was in Arizona, in Phoenix, at Spartan Rides, and they had the Minion SS 29er in the downhill casing, and I was like, dude, I'm a Maxxis ambassador. I can't even order it from the Maxxis site, and so I was like, I'm buying this right now, like, and then same thing goes like when I cut a tire in Sedona. I walked into the shop, and it's like every tire that they had fortunately they had the tread pattern that I wanted, but they didn't have the compounds that I wanted. So everything that they had in there was EXO, and that was it. I was like, how are you in this like super rocky place with cactus and all this other stuff and not have EXO plus or downhill casing? And I was kind of like bitching about it to my buddies, and my buddies were like, dude, people just bought all of those.
Like, seriously.
The only reason they have the EXO is because that's all that's left.
Yeah, that's just what didn't sell.
Right. Yeah. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. But I'm still angry. So So I have a DHF on that bike up front, and then Aggressor on the back. But I'm expecting the Aggressor on the back not to last very long, just because it's only EXO. And I mean, I took you out to the trail that I built, and there's a lot of like really sharp rocks out there. Those trails in that area really cut tires quickly. So I'm expecting to like have to walk this bike out sooner or later with that tire. So I've heard a lot of people though talking about those specialized tires lately. A couple of my friends are like they jumped ship from Maxxis to it.
Yeah, it's surprising. I'm not typically like a specialized fan at all. I've just catered to my Maxxis tires, and I've tried them in the past, but they're a lot better now than they've ever been before. I haven't had any issues with this on the back, and it's an eliminator. It's got like 2.3 tread, but it's a gravity casing and 26 psi and no inserts. I don't have any issues yet, and we just rode some gnarly stuff in Phoenix and Sedona. So they definitely held their own.
So you said 2.3 is what you're running?
Yeah, 2.3 in the back. Sometimes, like typically, I'm on a 2.4, but I won't go over 2.5 in the rear.
Really?
Yeah, that's too much for me. Like the tires get bubbly, and unless it's got like a really thick casing, then they start to feel balloony, and they just start to fold really easily. And I don't like my tires to feel like water balloons. They have to be pretty firm.
What size are your rims?
They're just the reserves, the 30s.
So the 30s, okay. Yeah, if you had the wider rim, then you probably wouldn't feel that as much, you know.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's the
Yeah.
other thing is I've probably just tried bigger tires on too small of a rim. So
Yeah, yeah. I also run Cushcore, but I don't really run Cushcore for the like rim protection aspect. I run it for
the
the
sidewall.
sidewall
Yeah,
stiffness.
I guess
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Especially a guy my size, like I feel like if you're over 200 pounds, you should be using Cushcore like front and back, no matter what. Um, and every time I have talked myself into trying it again, you know, I'm like, oh well, like I got the MVs, the 735s, and they were like, oh, you don't need Cushcore because we have this rim strip, but that's like really just about rim protection. I was like, you know what, I'll ride it for a while and see how I feel, and
Yeah.
it's just like I miss that like that stiffness of the tire. I'm sure it's probably the same way it feels like to you on your like DH casing, where like you weigh a lot less, you know. So
Yeah, definitely. It's something that I can't go back to now that I've had thicker casings. I can't go back to the thinner casings. It's really hard.
yeah, yeah.
Hey,
What
do you
I've been
mind?
noticing is I'm tending to use the DH casing on the back tire,
Yeah.
and then like just EXO plus on the front tire.
Yeah. That's pretty much my setup right now. If I need a DD, I'll put it on the front, but I can get away with XO Plus on the front for the most part.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick side note.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry to do this, everyone, but can I just run to the restroom real quick?
Yeah, you got to do your thing, man. It's no
All
problem, man.
right, guys. I'll be back
I
in
can
2
chat for a
minutes.
few minutes, no problem.
Cheers.
So, anyways, we're getting close to the end of the show, anyways. And what I'll do is, while you guys are stuck here being my captive audience, I would really like you to tell some of your friends about my 90-second reviews that I'm doing on the Biker channel. I keep getting people tell me all the time that they really love the format and that it's a lot of fun to watch. And if you haven't seen them, go check them out. Basically, I have a product. I start out the video with, you know, this is the product and I'm doing the review. And then I start a timer for 90 seconds and I tell you how I feel about it. And the reason that I did that was that I started thinking about like reviews. I don't really like doing review videos. And I thought, you know, if I'm sitting on the side of the trail and one of my buddies like asked me like, hey, do you like those pedals? I don't talk to him about those pedals for 15 minutes. Like you would see some like other review video, like, let's talk about these pedals for 15. No, dude, I tell like my buddy, like, hey, I like this, I like this, I like this, and this part sucks. And then that's kind of like what they make, you know, then they can make their mind up on it. So that's basically where the 90-second review came from, was just try to tell people quickly, like you would on the side of the trail, like how you feel about something. And I've really noticed that, man, it's hard sometimes just to get 90 seconds, like, and only 90 seconds when you're trying to explain something like, well, you really have to think about it. Have you watched the 90-second reviews?
Yeah, man, I think it's good. It's a good skill. It like gets you to quickly come up with everything that matters, and you're not just dragging on and on and on about it.
Yeah. And I hate watching those, like whenever I'm looking for a review and you like find one that's like labeled exactly like, you know, like I'm looking for a 2019 Giant Trance XL, you know, or whatever, you know, like version, and you go to watch the review and it's like 10 minutes of them telling you to like follow their Instagram and who their sponsor is and blah blah
Yeah,
blah. You know what I mean? You're like, oh my god, where's the friggin' review? And you're
yeah.
like
It's like,
skipping
come on, dude.
around, like,
Let's get to the point here. Like,
yeah.
are they
And
good or
so
not? Yeah,
that's the reason that I decided to do those, is just like,
yeah.
let's make it like quick and to the point. So what I was asking people, I'll
Mm.
ask you too,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
if you see one that you enjoy, like hit that share button and actually like share it with people, because that will get other people interested in the channel. And I think sometimes, you know, people associate a channel with just like certain content sometimes, you know, and when people change things, they're like, they're not expecting it anymore, you know? So they're like, oh, well, he does these like POV videos and cusses all the time, I don't want to watch that. It's like, well, this is not that. So maybe you'll like this one. So how's your channel doing all together at this point? Where are you at?
Um, Well, it's just my channel.
Yeah.
I post when I want to.
Uh-huh.
Nobody tells me what to do or when I have to post.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's kind of nice that way. I mean, I don't have a Patreon. I don't have people supporting me.
Oh, I thought you did. I put the little Patreon icon up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a Patreon, but nobody supports me. And I just
I'm gonna go
honestly,
support you, man.
I honestly wouldn't put anything on it because I'm putting all my energy and time into YouTube, and I
Uh-huh.
feel like, yeah, if what I'm doing is cool and people like it, that's good enough, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't try to. I'm not trying to make this my living. That's
Uh-huh.
not necessarily my goal. It'd be cool if I can use this to connect to more people and to be a tool. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have any expectations for the channel other than just I want to do the best I can and keep improving it. And
Mm-hmm.
whether it's my editing that I'm learning or my thumbnails, like Paul just said in the chat, um,
Yeah.
I'll redo it 100 times and I don't care. I'm just trying to get better at my own craft, and
Yeah.
whatever I can give people is what I can give, and hopefully they like it. If not, then that's cool.
I think you should go back to your Enduro series and change the font on all those thumbnails.
I know you guys don't like my cursive font.
No, I don't like the font. I don't
Well,
like. I
I'd
told you
rather,
that in the
you know,
past
if you
too.
really cared about anything I had to say or put out, you'd look really closely and you'd read what I just wrote there.
I can't even read that font. I don't even know what it's saying.
Look harder.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No,
No,
I should
it's totally
probably.
cool, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna get better at it, and I'm just gonna keep improving. You guys are giving me a lot of good advice, so I appreciate
Dude,
it.
I'm not the I'm definitely not the thumbnail master. I feel um like BCPOV's got the thumbnails down. Like I apparently am not doing something right with mine because that thumbnail is like your pickup line, you know, and um if I don't have a lot of people clicking on the video, I'm blaming the thumbnail, you know.
Yeah, I just want
Or
it to
it's
look
just a
good to
shitty
me.
video people don't want to
Like
see. Like,
in the future, am I gonna want to watch my video based on my thumbnail?
yeah.
Probably not. I don't know.
Yeah. When I go back and look at my old ones, I had to you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, I'm not going back and changing this anymore. You know, otherwise you're just compounding the amount of work that you have to do every time that you learn something.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, you're just like, well, those old ones are just going to stay the way they are.
Yeah, apparently
But
like my well thought out thumbnails, weren't simple and easy enough.
yeah,
So yeah, it's funny. It's like what you think is gonna work out may not be what the general public's looking for. Like they just want to hit a quick little, oh look at this drop over here button, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's a lot
yeah.
simpler than some people make it out to be.
I think it really less is more is really the key. So that's the thing that at least I notice whenever a lot of people are new to YouTube, they have a lot of information on their thumbnail.
Yeah.
So much that of it also whenever it's small, on mobile or even on your computer, it might be on that little sidebar window on the side, and you can't read all that little crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
All
really
you
can't.
see is the big arrow and the picture. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I try to keep it personally as little information on there as possible, that just enough to get people maybe intrigued or have an idea of what it is that you're doing, you know,
Yeah.
so, but it's
Yeah, it's
definitely an
funny.
art form, you know.
I know it's just gotta look good to me. That's all I care
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true, man. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you're happy with whatever you're doing, that's all that matters, right? Because there's still some guys that are
Yeah.
super successful that give me advice. I'm like, I don't give a fuck, dude. I'm doing this.
Yeah, and then I have friends too that they go out and they film and they record and they don't like their voice, they don't like what was said, or they just don't want to deal with it. They're like, oh, it's just too much information. Like I don't know how you could put together a whole video. It takes way
Yeah,
too much time, but yeah, less is more and keep it simple,
yeah. Yeah. So now that you're not filming racing, what do you think you're going to be filming? What's do you got any
I
idea?
want to do like more product reviews, more bike reviews. If I can get my hands on a few bikes,
Mhm.
that's kind of where my channel does well. Is like the more that I can test things and compare things. I feel like that's where I need to keep going
Mhm.
because I like to dissect everything and really pick
Yeah.
apart the differences. I'm known
Yeah.
for that.
If
And
you were
then
to get,
new
huh?
trails too. So just new
Yeah.
trails, or like maybe trail building. Like if there's some days where a group wants to organize a dig day, it'd be fun to
Hmm.
film stuff like that to show the public like how this stuff happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff interests me.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. I'm hoping that some stuff that I'm working on kind of pans out here soon, and then we'll have some stuff we can film. So have to keep it on the wraps for now, though.
Top secret.
Yeah, just a little teaser here and there that'll just keep people going. So if you were to buy another bike that's different than the one that you have right now, what do you think you would buy?
Shoot, that's a tough question. Well, my number one thing when I look at bikes is, do they pedal well, and do they go downhill well,
Mm-hmm.
and to like what degrees, more or less. And my bike has to be balanced. It has to at least pedal uphill as well as most trail bikes. Even if it's an enduro bike, I want it to still feel like it's not just a sled. And then
Mm-hmm.
it has to be nimble and playful, and not just a sled on the downhill too. So I don't want a downhill bike, but I want my bike to still feel maneuverable and fun.
So like what
And
I'm
so I
what I'm
guess if I
thinking
was,
is like, go ahead.
yeah, if I was to pick a brand or something per se, or what are you getting
I
at?
was thinking more like a type of bike, and then maybe we could talk about the brand. But like for
Yeah.
example, when I had the Bronson, I was like, I want a short travel 29er, and then it
So
was
I
like,
guess let's just go off of that. So I have my Mega Tower.
right,
It's my super enduro bike,
right,
Unless I was going to replace that, which I'm probably not going to at the moment. Um, I would be looking for like a 120, 130 Ripper, like a tall boy,
yeah,
or like a little stump jumper, something super sprightly, fun,
yeah,
energetic, fast, and
yeah,
still has enduro geometry. So when I go from my enduro bike, I'm jumping on a bike that feels like my enduro bike, but just a little
yeah,
bit less travel. I don't want my bikes to feel like a hardtail and a downhill bike. I want
right.
it to be like somewhat similar so that I'm not having to readjust and recalibrate my style of riding, so that I can kind of just hop from bike to bike.
Yeah, it took me some time to get used to riding the tall boy and the Bronson, just because of the wheel size. It really like was hard for me at first. Like it took my brain a little bit to like be able to understand like how to ride both of them. Like I guess to give you a good example, like when I first started like hitting jumps on the tall boy, my timing was off all the time. And it was like I just didn't know how to like time that bike and like how to put it in the air because it was different. I really attributed to the wheel size, like how it rolled up on things.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just like my mental like note of, hey, you have to pump right now, or you know what I mean? Like it was just off by like a hair. And it took a
Yeah,
couple
it's
of
a big
weeks.
difference. I'd say going from 27.5 to 29.
Yeah.
Um, and then that's the thing too, is if I did get another bike, it would be a 29er,
Yeah.
because I wouldn't want to have a whole different feel of a 27.5 bike. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Now that I'm used to it, because it took me a
Yeah.
while to get used to a 29er. Like it wasn't just
Yeah.
like, cool, dude, I'm gonna shred this 29er. It was,
Yeah.
this thing's a boat. This thing's hard to turn. It's hard to
Yeah.
manage. And then you get stronger as a rider, and you start realizing like where it does have traction, and then maybe a
Yeah.
corner's better, or you find that you're better in this situation. So you just
Yeah.
adapt. But I wouldn't go back, because I'd want to keep my feelings as close to similar,
Yeah.
on both bikes as that I could.
Yeah, my one buddy just went and got a 29er and he like did exactly what you said a second ago. He was like, just ripped it right away. And I was like, it didn't bot like you didn't have any problem. He's like, nah, man, it's freaking awesome. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, I did not have that. But now that I've been riding them both for a while, like my brain like has the muscle memory for each bike. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
knew like when I got the tall boy that would happen because the same process happened when I got my chameleon because it was like so different. And now it's just
yeah,
like when I get on the Bronson, I'm like, man, this thing is freaking playful. It's like so fun. And then when I'm on the tall boy, it's like my brain knows like how like what to expect
Yeah.
there, you know?
Yeah, totally. Those are two good bikes to have, man. You have the best of
Yeah.
both worlds.
I'll tell you that Cascade Link on the Tall Boy
Hmm.
changed that bike like drastically.
Yeah,
Don't
it
you
did
run a
on the Mega.
Cascade on your?
Yeah, it did on the Mega Tower too. It used to feel closer to the high tower. The Mega
Uh-huh.
Tower did with the stock link. Now I
Mm-hmm.
have the Cascade link, and it feels much more like a Nomad. I
Mm-hmm.
guess it just feels deeper and more bottomless. Like when I can still hit the bottom, and I don't feel a frame hitting. I just
Yeah.
that's the bottom of the travel, and it just feels endless to me. And the
Yeah.
square edge hits are not as harsh. It doesn't feel like
Yeah.
it's trying to take all the little bumps. It rounds them out a little bit and really smooths the ride a bit. So
Yeah.
it's been
Yeah. I
good.
was really, really surprised when I got it. Like it just blew my mind. Like I didn't
Yeah,
expect it
and
to be that good.
you have to try it too. I mean, if they're all going to be different on each bike too. Not every Cascade link is the same, but
Right.
yeah, you just have to give it a try to really know for yourself, like what it's going to do or not.
Yeah. I was definitely like overly impressed. When I got it, I really wasn't expecting it to make as much of a change that it did, you know? Like sometimes people
Yeah,
are like, "Oh, I bought these new carbon bars," like the One Up. When I bought the One Up bars, all these people online were like, "Oh man, they're the best thing. It's like so comfortable now. Like I put these on all my bikes. They're just so great, you know, like they freaking wake up and make breakfast for you. Like they're so good, you know." And like I put a bars on, I'm like, "No, they're freaking handlebars. I can't tell a difference between the last ones and this at all." You know, like but that
yeah,
Cascade link, like it was like wow, you know.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, we're wrapping up, man. We're here like hitting 2 hours. If you watched the Biker Bar in the past, I always like to ask people what YouTube channels they watch, regardless of
Yeah.
if it's like mountain biking or golf or whatever it is, underwater
Uh,
basket weaving. Like what channels
it's
do you like
not.
to watch?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, it's not golf. Um, yeah. I like watching. Um, I like watching a lot of the bike review stuff, like what Beta does.
Hmm.
I think they do a good job. Obviously, BKXC, man, like he
Hmm.
was kind of like my Tiger Woods. Like I just looked up to the dude and said, "Hey,
Hmm.
dude, if he can do it, maybe I can do it." And
Yeah.
let's see, who else is good? The Mahalama dudes. They're just like
Yeah.
fun and entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
Um, I watch your channel, man. I watch Colorado Kids channel. I watch,
Yeah.
all my friends' stuff.
Yeah.
I just subscribed to Unprofessional Kyle, probably because I'm going to
Yeah.
see some footage coming out from Sedona that's going to be awesome.
Right on.
Um, and then I don't know. I mean, I like people like that are just super honest, like Aaron Gwynn. He does
Hmm.
some reviews and stuff on like how he sets up his cockpit, and
Hmm.
this guy is dialed. Like if you move his 1 millimeter one way or another, his grip is going to change the position of his hands. He's not going to be able to corner the same. Dude, he's just like me. Like I swear to God, I have to have everything like to the T, lined up like the way I like it. And so I don't know, all the geeky nerd stuff.
Yeah.
There's some channels out there that I appreciate, like Aaron's for sure.
I'll have to check
Uh,
his out. I don't think I've ever watched any of his content.
yeah, it's good.
Was it
Yeah,
him that
it's so
just
hard to think
recently
off the
like
top of my head.
there was somebody that I was watching, it was like one of those pro guys that like rode his old like 90s bike down this trail versus his like current bike to see like how close the times were.
Oh yeah, that was Steve P. Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
I
who that
watched the
was?
Steve
Yeah, yeah.
Pits. Yeah, I think it was. I don't know if it was from Santa Cruz's like YouTube channel or not, but I watched that too. That was amazing, and that kind of goes to show. I want to conclude kind of this just with my own golf experience. I can take a $300, titanium driver, or I can take an old wooden driver, and I can take a modern Pro V1 golf ball and hit them relatively, within 10, 15 yards of the same distance. And
Yeah.
just as straight, just as well. And I think what it comes down to, like with that experiment with Steve Pete and the two Santa Cruz bicycles, is that it
Hmm.
comes down to the rider. And if
Yeah.
you really want to see a difference in performance, it's going to come from you before it comes from the equipment. And that kind of goes
Yeah.
against what I'm saying, because I love to test the equipment and say, oh, it's the equipment or it's this.
Yeah.
But really, all that stuff just kind of helps you as the rider. So
Yeah.
it always comes back to you. And that's what's
That's
cool
why I
about
have the slogan on the biker channel. It only takes a bike to be a biker. Get out and be one. Like really, like that's really part of it. Cause like
Yeah, you're
that's
the
all it
number one.
takes.
You're the number one equation. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's it, man. Well, hey, dude, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with me tonight, dude.
Dude, it was
That's super
awesome.
fun.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good time. Hopefully, you can get some more subscribers. You'll be YouTube famous tomorrow. You wake up, freaking dump truck load of money just pouring in your driveway.
Let's do it. You.
You're right. So, those of you guys that hung around here to the end, I really appreciate all you as well. Once again, please go by my Instagram. If you like this, or give me a follow there. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you're doing some kind of download from the podcast, hit the subscribe button on that or whatever they call the follow. That way, every time there's a new episode, boom, just shows up on your phone. Next thing you know, you're driving down the road, you're listening to me and Jay talk about whatever we talked about for the last 2 hours. But I would really appreciate that. Just give me the follow and all the places that you can follow me. That would be awesome. And I really, really appreciate all you guys out there that wrote the reviews. Keep them coming. We'll keep making this thing grow. And next thing you know, maybe I'll have a YouTube dump truck out in my front yard. That would be great. So then you guys can stop listening to me like whine about whatever. I really, really had a good time tonight, and I want everybody to know that it only takes a bike to be a biker. So get out and be one.